Hello everybody and welcome back to art. I am super excited to kick off the week with some really cool art projects for you. Alright, so we're going to go ahead and jump right in and get started. Alright, you're going to need a plain white piece of construction paper that is inside your packet. Okay, you are going to need some oil pastels, which were also provided inside your packet. You will need a clay tool that was provided to you. Again, yours might look a little bit different than this. If you are having a hard time using the one that you do have, then you can dig around at your house and maybe try and find a different pencil that may be really sharp, or you can find a toothpick or a stick or something like that, okay? But something that has a fine tip point. You are also going to need some scissors, okay? I did not provide scissors inside of your packet. I figured you guys already had those at home, so there was no need for us to get those for you, okay? The first thing we're actually gonna do here is we're gonna take our piece of paper here and we're going to fold it in half, okay? Doesn't matter which way you start first, but the first thing you're gonna do is you're gonna fold it here, okay? We're gonna go ahead and fold straight away here, and then we're gonna go ahead and fold it again in half this way, okay? We are creating 4 sections of our paper in which we are going to divide them up, okay? So we have paper here, unfold, okay? You should have a piece of paper that has some guidelines for you, for which we are going to be cutting with our scissors very carefully, okay? All the way up this way and then all the way across this way. We're making 4 individual smaller pieces of paper, okay? So as I'm coming across, following these lines, okay? Take this again, cut along these lines, okay? We're just going with a little bit smaller things here because we are going to be experimenting a little bit today, okay? So I have 2 so far, keep those handy. I got 1 more right here, okay? Following this crease, I'm gonna take it and I'm gonna go ahead and cut along that line, okay? So you should have 4 pretty similar pieces of paper cut, okay? So the first thing you're gonna do is you're gonna take one of these pieces of paper and kind of get ready, okay? The next thing you're gonna do is take these oil pastel that you have right here, okay? And you are going to go ahead and take these oil pastels outside the bag, okay? You can use any of the colors that you see here, all right? Any of the colors except for the black one right now. Okay, you're gonna have that one off to the side because that is what we're going to be using towards the end. Okay, so this is kind of a little bit of a color theory, color experimentation. This is kind of where we were going next with a couple of projects before we left school. So we were just kind of getting into it, and this is a really fun project I think all of you guys are gonna love, which is why you get 4 chances out of it, okay? So you have 3 extra over here that are kind of sitting to the side, and then you have this one that we're gonna kind of start with. All right, so you can use any colors that you have here of the oil pastels that I've provided, or if you have some at home that are, you know, your own, you can use that as well, okay? Now, the first thing you're gonna do is just kind of choose a color that you want to put down first. I always start with the lightest colors first because it's easier to go over them with a darker color. You can't go back with oil pastel if you've started with a dark color and then expect to go lighter afterwards, okay? It just doesn't work. So what I'm going to do now is I'm going to take my oil pastel and I'm going to just start coloring alongside my edge this way, okay? Making sure that I'm filling in as I go, okay? Remember, with these oil pastels, guys, if I just go like this and kind of scribble scrabble, that doesn't look as good as maybe what I had started doing up here, does it? Okay, you got to make sure that you're filling in the gaps. You don't want any white space, okay? Fill in those gaps so that you cannot see the white of the paper beneath it, okay? Now, I just started in the corner and I pretty much just made a square, okay? That is totally up to you with how you want to start this. I'm just showing you one example, okay? I'm going to go a little bit lighter. I'm going to take a little bit of a light green here, draw myself a line. I'm going to go ahead and outline what I just did, okay? You can make abstract patterns here. I am just showing you one way to do this, okay? And yeah, I'm not giving too much explanation right now other than the colors that you want to use are totally up to yourself, okay? You can come back over and layer them a little bit if you want to fade it out, okay? can use your finger a little bit, smear and smudge some of these edges in. Okay, you can start blending. All right, the other thing that I'm going to start doing is incorporating some other colors. Okay, as we know, oil pastel gets really smudgy and smeary, so be careful, okay, not to touch some of the other things that you don't want to get dirty. All right, I'm also going to take some orange now. Okay, I'm going to do a nice big orange rectangle somewhere here. Okay, not all orange. Okay, in fact, I'm going to do a pattern inside this orange. Okay, I'm just making abstract patterns. Just kind of go with the flow here. Okay, I'm going to take my yellow again. I'm going to come back over top and layer a little bit. Layer it up a little bit. Okay, take some red right next to it. I'm going to come all the way across. All right, you guys, again, taking your own colors that you want. You do not have to copy what I'm doing. Okay, in fact, I would suggest that you try and branch out on your own. You guys are all creative. You have your own mind that God gave you to create. I want to see what you can do, all right? Not what I'm doing. Okay, as I'm coming, I'm just kind of picking colors as I go. I'm going to pick up a green, a dark green right here. I'm going to follow that line. Okay, I'm just making abstract patterns. Okay, I'm going to curve it out a little bit this time. I've been doing some straight squares, rectangles. I'm going to start curving and making some other pictures, some other patterns. Next color here, I'm going to go ahead and do some blue. As you can see, I'm layering it up, okay? Some light blue. Totally up to you with what colors you want to use. Totally your choice. Okay? Totally your choice. Okay? As you can see, I'm filling it out. It's going to take some time. All right? It's going to take a little bit of time here, but as you can tell, it's going to be worth it, because as you start moving along, you start to see colors emerge that weren't there before if you start overlapping them. So I'm overlapping a blue into that red, and it started to create a light purple right here. Okay, so you can take your finger and you can smear and smudge that even. Okay, all of these things you can kind of go at your own pace and kind of discover. Okay, now again, let's see here. I haven't used white yet or brown. I might do some gray just to spice it up with one line. Okay, come back to blue. You guys can make your own patterns, okay? Totally up to you. I'm going to keep going this way. Doesn't matter what patterns you make, because in the end, we're going to cover them all up anyway. All right. So, as you can see right here, I have a fully finished, colored with oil pastel piece of paper, okay? I can still come back in here and change and manipulate some of the colors. Like if I want to come in here with a little bit of blue over top and say, you know what, this needs a little bit more along this edge of a new color, okay? As I'm coming through with my oil pastel, I'm taking it, take my finger, smear and smudge. Okay, smear and smudge, smear and smudge. All right, now we've used a lot of the colors that were over here. Let's come back to the black one, okay? Now, as we know, black overpowers all the rest of the colors. That happens with paint, that happens with oil pastel. Please make sure that you guys are keeping your hands clean before you go back and touch some of these other colors. So, what I'm going to do now with this black oil pastel, yeah, I know. Mr. Burr, are you crazy? All that time, okay? Yeah, I know. I'm going directly over top of everything that I just did, okay? Now, as you can tell, it might get a little bit messy here on the surface you're working, okay? So please make sure that you guys are covering the area that you're working with. I'm sorry, I should have told you guys that at the beginning, but you guys have worked with oil pastel before. You should kind of already know this. So if you got newspaper or something like that, go ahead and pull that out and put it underneath, okay? I have a board covering the table. This is my art board, so that works perfectly, and I guess it just came natural. But as you can tell, it's getting a little messy, okay? As I'm coming over here, I'm covering up all of the colors that I just spent so much time creating. As I'm coming, I'm filling in all of the stuff that I just did, okay? Not to worry, those scraper tools are gonna come in handy, okay? You guys have probably done this kind of stuff before without even knowing it. You're just creating it yourself, okay? We're using oil pastel here in layers to create a piece of scratch art, okay? As you're using this oil pastel in such a big area, you can tell that as it's coming down over top of your colors, it starts to get nasty, okay? So make sure that as you're going, you can kind of roll it as it's on the paper, as you're coloring, and you kind of roll it like this after you've used one side for a bit, so you can color, 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 stop, roll it, color, 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 right? And you're just trying to fill in all these areas, okay? It doesn't have to be perfect, but what you can tell is that as you're going, starting to really cover up these colors, okay? As you can tell, we're working smaller. Can you imagine having to work on a full-size piece of paper here? Yeah. This will give you a couple chances to work a little bit smaller here. All right, so as you can tell, we're getting close. It's a lot of work, little oil pastel, okay? Coming along here, coming along. All right, that's pretty good. Okay, I think you guys get the picture. As you can tell, there's still a lot of little spots that I probably should go back in here and kind of, you know, fill in, okay? But the main part that I wanted to show you is that you're trying to cover up as much of that as you can, okay? If you press too hard with an oil pastel, what starts to happen? Yeah, you guessed it. It'll snap in half, okay? Mr. Burr wasn't paying attention, and I actually just broke the one that I had, okay? Just like that. So be careful, okay? If it breaks like that, no problem. Like I said, we got a Ziploc bag. You can kind of put that stuff back in there. I'm just filling in some of that white specks, okay? So as you hear, you can dust it off, okay? The next step is that you're gonna take this scraper tool that you have, whether it's for clay or your toothpick that you have or a stick, okay? You're gonna take this scraper and think about a design or a picture that you would like to reveal below the oil pastel, okay? So what I'm gonna go ahead and do is I'm just gonna go ahead and start with a flower, okay? As I'm coming up, I go from a little bit bigger one to a smaller one, okay? Big line to a thin line, okay? Add some leaves. Just however you feel. Okay, this is just my example. You guys do not have to do what I'm doing here. Okay, if you're having a hard time thinking of an idea, by all means, go ahead and try what I'm doing here. But your colors are probably going to look a lot different than the colors that I have, because you might have used different oil pastel in the first place, okay? So as I'm here, okay, I'm gonna go ahead and start the next part, all right? The next part that I'm gonna do, maybe some middle part of the flower first. I'm doing simple shapes first, okay? All of the simple shapes first before you get too complicated. Okay? Simplify it. Simplify it. Now I have a basic outline of what it is that I decided to do. If I wanted to come back and add some grass, right? Some grass, some leaves, okay? Now what I can do is come in here and start adding some details. Just remember, you can come in, color in all the way if you want, or you can just leave it as line work, okay? You could do a object, person, or an animal. You could do a landscape, right? If you're doing a landscape, you can do background, middle ground, foreground, okay? Like a Ted Harrison style landscape, a linear landscape that we've talked about, third graders, okay? For some of the older guys there, if you want to do a portrait, okay? You could do a portrait, background, middle ground, fourth grade, right? All of these things can be incorporated into your artwork, okay? I'm just doing some linear line work with some colors, mix and matched. Add some scratch detail. All right. So that's just one way that you can create a nice picture by using oil pastel, toothpick that you maybe found from around the house, in your imagination. All right, so that's number one. Okay, you got 3 other choices right here. Okay, that's just one example. All right, you guys have the rest of the week to kind of play and experiment with what I've just shown you. Take some time, right? Use your sketchbook, sketch out an idea of what you feel like you want to do. Okay, now that maybe you've tried it once, now you got 3 other choices again. Okay, go ahead and sketch in your sketchbook the idea that you feel like you want to put on here, and then get busy with those oil pastel and have fun. All right, guys, this has been Mr. Burr. Have a great time doing this project. Okay, I miss you guys. I love seeing your artwork. Save it all in a nice portfolio, okay, so that the next time we see each other, we can show off all of our wonderful creations. All right, you guys enjoy and have a great rest of the week.